When you see 30% return in 3 months, you better figure out why that these people can do that.
Welcome back to Your Money, Your Rules, the podcast where real people share real strategies to build real legacies. And I'm your host, Teresa Villaruz, founder of the Thrive Movement, where we teach overlooked and underestimated people how to grow wealth in two places at the exact same time through Thrive banking and impact-driven projects. Now, today's guest embodies exactly what this show is all about. He's someone who believes wealth is built on relationships, trust, and real estate you can actually touch and see. And he's a founder of Simple Life Investing, and he helps his friends, family, and referrals grow their hard-earned money by putting it to work in secured, well-underwritten multifamily and multi-use projects. And right now, he's on a Mount Everest journey of scaling from 50 doors to 300 doors, focusing on proven markets in Arizona, Indiana, and Ohio. And what I love is that his passion is in building wealth together through community and relationships. And I'm so grateful to welcome my friend and fellow connector, Mr. Brian McMullen.
Well,
Hey, Brian.
That was a great introduction. I don't think I have to do anything else. We're done. You've hit it all on the head perfectly. I love that.
Yeah, well, we're not done yet because you have a wealth of stories and knowledge and skills that you'll be able to share with the audience. And then also, how can you pour so much into the community? How can we also pour back into you, right?
I love that. Yeah. And this is, I want to just start off with saying that this is a journey. No one is suddenly very successful in this business or any business for that matter, right? And I don't feel like I'm at the beginning, but I also do not feel like I'm successful, And so I feel like there's always this journey of where are you at, where are you going, and where do you want to be, right? So,
no, absolutely. Now, what I like about you, we've chatted a couple times, and what I like about you is that you actually have a deep heart, right? And which is why it makes sense that relationships are important to you. And that's really the foundation of how you're investing. Can you take us back to a moment in your life when you realized that, money wasn't just about numbers on the page? Well, obviously that's important, right?
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
What truly matters to you is the people you create it with. And how did that shape the way you do business today?
I love it. I love the question. Great question. So just a little history. I am an insurance person. I was in insurance for 27 years until 3 years ago. About 6 years ago, I started realizing that I wanted to do something different. And I built a very successful insurance business. And when people think of an insurance person, they think of a salesperson. They think of, someone who's pushing and selling a product that no one wants type thing. And that's not the truth at all, at least in my case. And, my thing was always build a relationship. If you have good relationships with people like it, I hate to use this, but know, like, and trust you, right? Then they'll do business with you and they'll stay with you. And in the insurance world, you don't make that much money if you sell. If you sell someone something, you're not making much money. It's not, a lot of people think that, he's just selling for his own profit. There's no, the only way you make money in the insurance business is you sell a product. For example, they wanted something, call it auto insurance. And then you go and do that and you do it well and you build the relationship. And then over time they go, I'm buying a house. I want to protect that. And you do that and you do it really well. And then you say, by the way, I've been watching you and you've been building up your assets. You need to protect yourself. Let's talk about some liability protection. And then they would say, no. Okay. And then they'd say yes when they're ready. And when they're ready, I'd be the guy there. And then ultimately, hey, you have a family, you have a mortgage, you have, retirement plans. Have you thought about the next level? And so for me, I built a insurance business and this doesn't matter numbers wise for most people, but they call it a book of business size of about 1.5 million, business. And that's basically the income, that's the insurance products that are being, coming in, to a $9 million book of business by just helping people. You don't have to be a salesperson to do that. And so to me, I found value in that. That's probably the most invaluable part I got out of the insurance business. It wasn't the products. The products are great and they do the job. But for me, the passion was just the people. And so that's what I've brought into the insurance, from the insurance world into my real estate business over the last 5 years.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, that's a, that experience in itself it's great. Like, but I'm assuming that the reason why you left the insurance business is because the passion wasn't there anymore, or what was it that switched
Yeah.
from here to there?
I love the products, and I thought the products were very good, and they were very helpful to people. And in my 27 years in the business, I watched a lot of good come out of those products, right? So, life insurance, when something happened, that was absolutely necessary, and it saved people. It saved people literally. Fires happened and car accidents happened, and I had a lot of impact. So I did like the impact side, that I was able to help people. But yeah, it wasn't like I was dreaming about insurance at night. I just to be very clear, it wasn't the top of the top. I always wanted to do real estate, so real estate was always in the back of my brain, and I just didn't know how to jump into it. But yeah, I think ultimately what it came down to is, I hate to say this, but my business was in California, and in the last few years, I watched it. It was much harder to have employees. I hate to say it that way. Much harder to maintain good relationships that I felt like I had no problem with early in my career. The insurance companies were making some changes that I didn't agree with, but at the same time, I ran the business. I paid for the employees, the rent, and all the bills, but they were making decisions that I just couldn't see being a long-term plan for me. So it wasn't really about the product. It was more about the way that the other people were running my life and controlling my life, and I didn't have any control of that. And I thought to myself, well, I need to do something different. And so about 3 years before I sold my business, I started looking at real estate and started buying real estate. So, and I felt like, wait, a little more control here.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, like, that's also the thing, right? Like, in order for you to have, really, one of the things that is needed in order for you to reach that financial, I don't want to say independence, but more of like financial foundation, is having control over things such as your finances, such as what you're doing, and like really having a say on how you can impact people. Right?
Yes, when you make a decision and you own it, and you have to own what the outcome, but you also get to make the decision that you get to own the good outcome. And I don't know. I just, like I said, I just felt like there was a lot of things coming my way that were not due to me, and I felt like I wanted to take control of that. And that's really what the big change was for me.
Gotcha. Now, you said you knew that you wanted to jump into real estate, and it feels like that's where the passion is, but you didn't know anything about real estate, but you still jumped into it. Like, what was that driving force that says, you know what, I'm just going to go for it?
Yeah, so funny. I tell a little story. I've got some gray in my beard, so I've been through some things, right? I bought my first house. I wanted to buy before I got married a long time ago, and so I bought my first house. We got married, we moved into it, lived there for 4 years, and then it came about the chance for me to buy the insurance agency that I owned. And so when I was thinking about that, I thought, wait, I need to buy the next house that I'm going to live in for a longer time, because the house was too small now, before my W-2 income changes, and my wife, we were having a baby, we didn't know if she was going to continue to work, all sorts of things. So I thought, well, so we went and bought the house that we still own today. And I thought to myself, well, I'll help my brother. I'll have him move into the house. And let's just say that sometimes family doesn't pay the bills. And so at this young age, just bought an insurance agency, overwhelmed. All I can think of is I can't afford 2 mortgages. And I sold that property, and I've regretted it since. And that was a long time ago. That house would have been paid off by now. If I wanted to choose that path, it would have been feeding me income. And I didn't. And so looking back at that, like, if I would have just known one person or one thing more, someone would have said, hey, Brian, you can re-rent this and you can make money in this thing called cash flow, right? If I would have just had that guidance back then, I would have owned the house and I would have been in a different position now. And so that was kind of like in the back of my head the whole time. Now, I turned a page and started building my insurance business. That's what I do. I work hard at whatever I'm working on, but I always look back at that, like, dang it, I shouldn't have thought more. I should have known. So about 6 years ago, I started thinking about what else am I going to do if I don't like this business? And I started just doing research on my own. And that's a mistake, by the way, doing research on your own. Always find someone who's better than you at what you're doing, or at least has the same passion. But I just started looking into the word cash flow. And someone mentioned cash flow, and I thought, well, I live in California. Cash flow is not real. And so I started buying in Tennessee, where cash flow was king a few years back, and it still is for the most part. And so I just took one step. Okay, I'm going to buy a house. How much is that going to cost me? It's going to need this much. Okay, how am I going to do that remotely? I'm going to find a property. And I just started going down the steps, and I bought my first house, just traditional. And I'm like, wait, this was cool. $20,000, and I own a house that's cash flowing. I could just keep doing this over and over and over again. And so it started very simply like that, if that makes sense.
It does. And now you have a portfolio of 50 doors.
Just about. So, yeah. And so that's how it started. For me, it's just, let's just go take an action that I should have taken years ago, and I didn't. And I didn't even ask the question. And so I started asking questions, and that's been good. The one mistake I have made in this business is I've owned a house. This started 5 years ago. I didn't really start talking to people like you until about a year and a half, 2 years ago. So I've been in my little hole, building my little portfolio, and it's not going fast enough for me. And so that's when I started reaching out to people, and it's been a game changer for me.
Yeah, hear that, guys. 50 doors in just a few years is not fast enough for Mr. Brian McMullen. So that means that, it's doable, right? For someone who's starting just, not knowing anything, but has this, desire to make an impact, build, a legacy. There's ways to do that. And even if you're doing it on your own right now, it's doable. But, if you have big, massive goals, it's just best to work or even be in a circle of other doers who have done it in the past, so that you can download the experience, the knowledge that they have.
Well, so true. Like I said, the 50 doors I have, I just want to let you know, most of those are single family homes. And I've been doing it one at a time, which, again, by the way, I'm not poo-pooing at all. You got to start, and you don't start with owning Grant Cardone sized buildings, right? You start with doing something. And so I started with a single family where I knew what I could build. And I held on to that comfort zone a little too long, in my opinion. But recently, I found a partner who I believe in, who I built a relationship up with, and we ended up buying a 24-unit apartment complex here in Arizona. And I mean, it's kind of blown my mind. It's like, wait, okay, game's on. So I'm looking to find, okay, I'm underwriting a 17-unit apartment complex right now. And I would have never done that 2 years ago or even a year ago by myself to start that. I would have just been sitting in my little hole looking at the one single family home. And so I want to encourage everybody, start where you can start, but don't sit in your comfort. Move forward and keep challenging yourself. And that's bringing people on. That's saying, hey, Brian, what are you doing? How can I be involved? What can I bring to this table? What can I do with you? And find someone who's a little bit above, ahead of you. That makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. Now, for people who are introverts and are kind of comfortable just being in their own, hole, how would you recommend that they go out there, and what were the places that they should be, looking for these potential partnerships in?
Yes. So I'm just I always go back to my own story, because I was 50 before I started thinking about this. I was 52 before I bought my first rental property. Okay. So it tells you a little bit about how long in the tooth you can be before you start. And if I can just encourage people in their 30s or 40s to start this, that'd be the first thing. But for me, when I sold my business 3 years ago, I had money in the bank, and I didn't want to just go buy properties because I could buy properties. I wanted to buy the right things. So I'm like, what am I going to do with my funds? So I started Simple Life Investing, and I started lending my money out on solid projects, learning. And I say solid projects because there's a lot of learning that goes on here. And so I want you guys all to know it can be treacherous out there. And I've learned some lessons. So nothing's perfect, right? But over the time of doing this, I realized, wait, I can grow my money while I'm looking for the next thing. And it's not that big a step. And as I did this, I had friends and family saying, Brian, what are you doing? And I was telling them about buying real estate, and they weren't ready for it. quite frankly. They weren't interested in buying real estate and owning real estate. But when I told them about my funding projects, that, the light went on with a lot of people. Wait, I could take some money and put it with you, Brian, that you know what you're doing because you've been doing this for a while. And you've built relationships up, which, by the way, is the number one reason that deals are successful, is relationships again. So we're going back to that, right? And then I can just do this and get my money back in 5, 6, 8 months and see that process without doing the things that you've done. And I think that's something I love about what I'm doing now, is I'm helping people start. And so I have about $3.5 million of people's money that they've come in and said, I've never done this. How do I do this? And that's what I'm helping them to do it. And now some of those people are partnering with me on projects, and they're partnering with me on real estate that I own, because they've seen that path. They've started to grow, and they're never going to do what I'm doing because they don't want to. Let's say they have their own business, but they can take some of their money and go, hey, let's go down this path. And what I love about it is the learning I've done is that relationship. It always comes back to relationships. The mistakes that I've always made in my life, they've always been circled around a deal. Some kind of not scam, but some kind of thing of where I'm like, this is great. This is a great deal. And the deals aren't great. The relationships that you build are what make those deals great. And so that's what I focus on, building relationships with the people who borrow money, building relationships with people who I want to invest with and partner with. And so if I do that well, the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Relationships really definitely are key, because obviously you mentioned it earlier, and you said you don't want to say it, but it's like, really, people work with you when they know, like, and trust you. And really, in order for that to happen, you have to build those relationships. You have to nurture those relationships, right?
Yeah. I just don't quite understand the mindset of someone who doesn't do that. They don't do the right things, and they want all the things, but they don't build. And so I guess I'm a slow grower, right? Just a little bit at a time.
It's okay. Now, you said, like, your experience is massive, even if it's just in the short period of time, right? There's a lot of people who have been in the business for a decade or even more who have little to show for it. But for you, with your experience, with the things that you've done, like, what would you say would be, things for someone who's just starting out, things that, to keep in mind, or maybe like mistakes to avoid?
Yeah. I think I just said it, but I'll say it a little clearer. When you see something that comes across that it sounds too good to be true, there's a chance that there's a real big risk there. When I first started lending my money, and I lent it out in smaller chunks because I didn't want to lose too much, right? And that was one of my ways of kind of, being risk adverse, or risk management, let's say it that way. When you see 30% return in 3 months, you better figure out why that these people can do that. Because a lot of those kind of deals tend to not be either 3 months or the 30%. So I think that one thing I'd say is learn with someone. Again, partner with someone. Find someone who, like yourself, who've done some deals, understand some of these little nuances that people don't, you don't see until you've done things. I am coming up on, just a little over 90 projects I've funded. These are not ownership; these are lending projects. It's taken me a while. And every project I do is a little different. Every project I do, I learn something about safety. And what it comes down to is safety is building that relationship and knowing the people that you're doing business with. I don't want to pitch anything here, but Teresa and I belong to a big community, as I don't want to say names and stuff, but Pace Morby's stuff too. There's a thing called Dealmaker, and we are pitching our deal this Friday, and Dealmaker, which is going to put our project in front of thousands of people, which we're really excited about. We're raising money for a project that's a multi-use project in Ohio. But that's, and I can tell you the numbers are great, and they are, and the safety is there because of the project numbers. They're great. Yeah, they are. But really why it's a great deal and why I'm backing it is and putting my name behind it is because the person who I'm partnering with happens to be someone who I've lent money to. And I have I own 8 doors with him because of that relationship I built. I've lent to him 25 times because of the relationship I built. I know him. I know his business. I visited him, right? We brought in another partner who some of you guys might know, Ingrid Hernandez. She's partnering with us. So the relationships that are in this are more important than the deal almost, because I know that we've got the team that will never let anybody down, right? And the numbers work, and the relationships are there. And that's I think what I'm trying to do. And this is a big picture one for, it's a bigger project that I do a lot of times, but every project I do has to be built like that. Who are the people I'm dealing with? Who's the team? And who am I going to put faith in as we build this? And oh, by the way, let me look at the deal. The deal is an afterthought in that, hey, if I don't know you, like you, trust you, I don't want to do business with you. Oh, I do know you, like and trust you. Now show me the deal. And if the deal's good, then we're done. We're not worried about. We're moving forward. I think that's kind of what I keep going back to. So if you're new into this, find someone like Teresa, find someone like me, find someone like my partners that I work with, and learn from them.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. I mean, like this community that we're in, not just like Sub2, Gator and TTTC, but this, I wouldn't say brand new because it's in year 2. This OC or Owners Club community has
amazing.
Been amazing.
It's truly amazing. It puts you in a room with people who are trying to do things. And that's what my podcast is about. It's about putting yourself in a room with people who are doing something special. And it doesn't have to be special. It just has to be that they're doing something special to them. They're pushing outside of the box. I love that.
Yeah. But I mean, like talking to people like you, right? It's not just about doing something special for them, but it's, I like every project that every Owners Club member has brought up has been not just impactful for their family, but impactful in the community as well, right? Which is truly something that is that I love, because we're not just here in real estate just to make that next dollar or a legacy for our family, but we're making an impact in this world. So truly love this community.
It's the pyramid effect, right? Where you put a really great base down, and you're not, that's just sweat equity, right? You're working, right? But as you do that, if you do it the right way, it grows into something that's magical. And so your family, and I don't want to ever feel bad that I want to make money.
Yeah.
I would feel bad if I did it on someone's back, right? Mm-hmm. And so if the people who want to do it on someone's back, we need to get rid of those people as fast as we can. But the people who are building, that foundation, we want them to be successful. That's how America is successful, right? By people who do the work and then reap the rewards from it. So but yes, you're absolutely right. The community is the most important thing. And as you build that community, it's just going to get better and better. And we are going to be okay financially.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, talking about impact and Mount Everest, you're scaling from 50 doors to 300 doors. I don't think we actually dove into the why behind that. Like, why is this your Mount Everest?
Yeah, I love that. So one of the mantras that you and I hear about and talk to people about, and lots of people grasp onto this so well, is their Mount Everest is this big, humongous, hairy thing that you can't even imagine that you can do, right? And so I hear people say that they want to feed the homeless and house the homeless, and they want to feed the hungry in the world, and they want to bring water, to places that don't have it, and all these grand ideas. And I'm just simple. And I can't imagine myself yet. And I say yet because I know this is going to change as I grow, right? But I can't imagine myself yet just going, I'm going to house all the people who don't have houses. It's too big for me. So how could I impact the world while I'm doing something that means a lot to me? Well, if I add doors to my portfolio and I do it the right way, I'm going to add to my income, which I need. That's a good little step toward the base camp, right? But it shouldn't be my goal, and it's not. But what else am I doing when I buy these doors? I'm employing realtors. I'm employing transaction coordinators. and hopefully feeding their families, right, along the way. I'm employing contractors. I'm employing property management companies. I'm impacting as every property I buy. I'm impacting 4, 5, 6 people. And that's just one door. I buy a 24 unit. I know for a fact that I've just impacted probably 40 people. And so it's not always you have to impact the people who are on the news that you can see and go, oh, I really want to help them. Sometimes it's just impacting the people who are hardworking and need that job. So I think that for me, that makes more sense right now. I keep saying right now because I really imagine the day where I'm like, wait, all my bills are taken care of. I'm not worried about if my family can live well. Wait, I can do something bigger. But I'm just not there yet, I guess. I'm sure I'll be humbled by people who see this and will go, Brian, you're thinking too small. Okay. Tell me why, tell me how I get to that next level, but I just won't be forced. I got to do it one step at a time.
Yeah. But I think just you explaining how many lives you impact by that, not necessarily like, all these things or these goals of like, I want to end, homelessness. I want to, feed all the children in the world. I mean, obviously those are like massive goals, but like if you kind of like the way you've really explained how many lives are actually impacted, people like everyday people who are just trying to make a living, trying to, make sure that they have a roof over their heads and food on their tables by employing them, that's so impactful.
True. It's so true. I was kind of going wide there, but in a smaller world, I have four really solid people who I've built relationships that I lend money to. Okay. And I'm very particular. I'm very careful about who I lend money to because I want safety. I'm an insurance guy. What do you want? Right. I think safety. So I don't have hundreds of people I lend money to. I have 4 or 5. Okay. And if you pick one of those people, I'll pick Eric. He's an owner's club with us, Eric Richards. Done 25 loans for him. I own doors with him. He has a team of people. He has a family of 4, right? There's 4 people I've helped right there. But he has employees. I think he's up to 20 employees right now. So every time I do something with him, I'm doing something with them too and their family. So just today, not even in the future, but just today, I'm impacting probably very close to 100 people just by doing business with someone who I know, like, and trust. Mm-hmm. I think that is probably a better picture of my Everest because I'm doing that 4 or 5 times today. And maybe in the future, as I grow, it'll be bigger, right? That's the hope.
Yeah. And I think, what came to mind right now really is you really painted a picture of why being an entrepreneur, why business is not just a good idea, but it's a God idea because you're impacting so many people along the way. You might not see it, but you've just painted that picture for us.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's funny. I just never thought about it that way in general, right? It's just like, well, I'm just trying to, and I think there's a lot of talk in the media and the world. It's all about greed, right? Mm. Oh, they're just trying to make a living for themselves. They're not trying to make their own money. They only care about them. Okay. But I mean, I don't know what to say about that. That doesn't even make sense to me because ultimately the people around me are who are going to be benefiting too. So why does it have to be about greed all the time?
Yeah.
I don't begrudge anybody who's making a good living. Because if they're making a good living, they're probably doing it with partners.
Absolutely. Now, you're doing all this stuff. You're pouring into the community. You're pouring into people. How can people who are listening to this podcast right now, how can they pour into you?
Oh, this is the part I'm not good at. I'm not good about asking for help, right? And it's funny because all I'm doing with the people I'm trying to bring up is ask them to ask for help. Ask for help. Come to me. Let's talk. I'll help you. But then I don't do it up. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. What I'm struggling with right now is finding partners who, again, are willing to step in the box and get to know me, like me, and trust me over time. That doesn't happen suddenly. It doesn't happen because we talk on the phone or a Zoom or whatever else, right? I mean, we've talked a few times now, and I'm feeling more strongly about my relationship with you now than I was the first time we chatted, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's what I would love is just to have more conversations. I've hit the ceiling of a certain amount of funds because I've gone to my friends and my family and my neighbors and my coworkers like yourself, and we've been doing things, but I haven't figured out how to scale to that next level because I want to do bigger things, right? I'm really great at funding these $50,000 to $200,000 projects. I want to fund these larger projects that are going to make everybody more money, and more people are going to be involved in this because if you have more money involved, there's more people involved, right? So yeah, I think if I could ask for something selfishly, it would be, let me talk to someone who is on they're on the sidelines. They're not doing something because they're afraid, they're worried, about everything, maybe because they don't know anything yet, or they're just learning, send them to me. Send that person to me, and I promise there won't be a pressure fest. It will be, hey, this is what I've done. This is how I've done it. This is how I'm doing this deal coming up. This is why this deal is a great deal. I'm meeting actually with a person who's new to me, and he's going to fund that deal I just mentioned. But he's worried. He's never done this. It's scary. And so I'm going to, for lack of a better word, I'm going to handhold him a little bit and walk him through why this is a good deal and what this looks like versus other deals. And he's going to make his own decision. I'm not going to force him to do anything. But that's the relation. That's the thing that I'm struggling with, finding people who are willing to take that first step.
Well, if there are people listening, and I'm pretty sure there are, if they want to take that first step and maybe have that conversation with you on how that would look like, how can people connect with you?
I love that. So simplelifeinvesting.com is my website. That's a great place to see a lot of information. There's links on there for booking a calendar appointment or just, whatever. I mean, I'm not an expert on all this stuff there. I think my Instagram is Simple Life Investing as well. My YouTube, where my podcast is hitting, is the Brian McMullen. So I'd love to engage any way that they want to engage.
All right. Well, I'll also include all of those links in the show notes for you as well. So there you have it. If you're interested in learning more on how to invest with Brian and do it in a way that you feel comfortable by building that relationship with Brian first and all his other investors, then feel free to reach out to him. And now, listeners, here's your action step for today, because we do like to have our podcast actionable. Take a look at where your money is sitting right now, right? Is it in a bank account making pennies, or is it actually working for you? Write down one way, just one, you can shift stagnant money into an opportunity that builds wealth and impact. And it might be with Brian. And if you don't know where to start, that's your sign to reach out to someone like Brian, right? Or myself.
It might be with Teresa. I think Teresa's a great place to start too.
Yeah, well, it could be with either of us. And if you're sitting there thinking, I truly want to make my money grow in more than one place at the exact same time, but don't know how, that's exactly what we teach inside the Thrive movement, where we help everyday people set up their own private banking systems so they can fund real estate deals, invest in opportunities like Brian's, and build generational wealth with protection and strategy. And if that resonates with you, I'd like to invite you to check out what we're doing at the Thrive Banking. Go to thrivebankingstrategy.com, and it could be the bridge that takes your money from surviving to finally thriving. Mr. Brian, thank you so much again for being here and sharing your story and all the, nooks and crannies, the best practices, what to avoid and all that stuff. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for this opportunity to be with you and build a relationship with you, because that really is more impactful than you know to me. So thank you.
Absolutely. And to all of you listening, take control, build legacy, and remember, your money, your rules.